So I talk a lot about these concepts of building out your systems, your process, your people, around your marketing. And I get asked all the time, Scott, we understand the concepts, but how do we actually build out these systems, these people, and these processes to all work together so that way the marketing in my business operates like a machine and is not something that is actually weighing down my business, but it's actually helping us grow. And so I'm going to talk about how if I was and am building a marketing machine for my business, or I was looking at a client's business and figuring out how to get them back on track to scale, how would I break down the different components and stages of looking at their marketing and sales, and what would we need to do to build this machine so that way they can make sure that they're staying on track for growth and solving any problems and missed opportunities and gaps that they have in their business.
How would we do that?
And so the very first thing that I would take a look at is how do we develop or how do we expand the current strategy that they have? Now, many times, depending on the size of the business, you don't necessarily need to add in a whole bunch to make the marketing more effective. Sometimes you just have to make little tweaks and little optimizations here and there in order to get the marketing working effectively again and bring new leads and new customers to the business. In order to do that, you have to be able to look at all of the different data points, all of the different ways that you're getting customers and leads into your business, the different ways that your audience is being reached and how they're engaging with you, the kind of content they're responding to, the medium that they're responding to. All of those different things you have to take a look at, and I would take a look at in order to start even developing a strategy. Most of the time when I'm working with small businesses and they're telling me that they are struggling with their marketing and getting it to working, it's because they really just don't even have a solid strategy. And they have some things that they're doing, but they don't have a strategy that makes sense. And the reason why is because they haven't taken the time to look at the data points to understand what is working, what isn't working, and to actually create an effective plan. Now, when it comes to looking at these data points, we want to look at everything. My team and I will look at how the website's performing, how social media accounts are performing, how ads are performing. If you have none of that, we'll look at how you're currently getting in customers, how are they currently finding you, what kind of content are you putting out that they're consuming, or maybe it is that you're just networking, and so what is it the things that you're saying? How are you getting these customers? What are they responding to? What are the problems that they have? What is the message that's resonating with them? And then we would even take a look at your fulfillment. We would take a look at what kind of services are you providing for them? We would take a look at how they're responding to those services, what kind of results that they're getting, what kind of impact that your service is having for that business. And we would want to also get their feedback. We would want to see how your customer is responding to how you are fulfilling on your agreement with them. Are they having a great time? Are they experiencing growth? These are all the things that you have to take a look at and that I would take a look at, because in order to be able to really create a story, a marketing story of how you're going to attract these clients, how they're going to interact with your business, and how they're going to flow through your systems and processes, you have to understand what is working, what isn't. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is all of the systems that we need in order to have an effective marketing strategy. And so these are going to be systems, they're going to be tools that you guys are actually going to use to make sure that your marketing is effective. This means that you need to implement tracking software. This means that you need to implement things like creative software. You need to implement things like storage tools, so that way you can store all of the content that you're creating. You need to be using AI to help create a lot of this content that you're going to be putting out. There's so many tools that you guys need to use, and a lot of it is centered around creating this content and analyzing this content and how it's working for your business. This really is the second step of this process. It is so essential. If I was working with any customer and they didn't have tracking for Facebook, tracking for Google, analytics on their website, that is one of the foremost things that we're going to take a look at and we're going to solve right away. Because again, once you have your strategy, you have to be able to understand what is working and what isn't working. And the only way you guys can know what's working and what's not working for your business, the only way I can know what's working and not working for any business is looking at the data. Part of what makes marketing success stories is not that someone is just a genius or a guru or super creative. That is a big part of it. But majority of success when it comes to marketing is really just being able to look at data, interpret what that data is telling you about your current strategy, and the optimizations or the changes you need to make in order to make that marketing content, marketing platform, marketing strategy even better.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Once you have all of these systems in place, it's going to make it incredibly easy for you to go ahead and collect an immense amount of data in your business. So immense that you're probably not going to be able to look at every single data point all the time and make sure it's working.
Anybody got time for that?
So you need to be able to focus in on the most important aspects of your marketing and be able to identify which data points are telling you where there's bottlenecks and where you need to increase. And so, for example, if you're getting leads into your business, but let's say they're not converting into sales, then you would need to go ahead and look at the process and the system that you're putting them through in order to convert from leads to sales. In a marketing sense, if you're getting clicks to a landing page, for example, and that landing page is not converting them into leads, then you either have a audience problem, a message problem, or you have a systems problem. And so you would need to start looking at which one of those problems it could be that's preventing you from turning that traffic into actual leads. And so the third thing that you're going to need is a team. And I don't care who you are or what you know, there's no one that can implement a full, complete marketing strategy that's actually going to grow your company by themselves.
No, sir. Nobody can do that.
You cannot do it, and one VA cannot do it. You need to have a small team. Now, I understand if you're a small business and you're starting to scale, you have to hire smart, you have to invest your resources wisely, and so maybe this is a process. Maybe you start with outsourcing your weakest point. So let's say, it's just you in the business, you're doing $10,000 to $15,000 a month. You want to implement this marketing strategy. So the first thing you might do is hire a copywriter. Let's say that copy was kind of your weakest area. You might hire a copywriter. Let's say managing ads was your weakest area, so you might hire a advertising specialist, so on and so forth. Most people actually are not good at all at web development, and so maybe you hire a web developer. It just depends on your strategy, depends on what you're really trying to accomplish and what your personal weak points are. And so if you're not working with a coach or someone to help you reflect, you really need to spend some time analyzing this. Again, it's not just the things that you don't like doing, it's the things that you're actually just really bad at doing, that are really struggle for you, that take a lot of time, and that would just be better off if someone else who was an expert in those tasks took over that. I'm glad you're enjoying the video. If you need help with hiring, training, or managing your VAs, make sure you click the link in the description below to check out our free VA hiring workshop. If you need one-on-one help with me, click the link to schedule an appointment to see how I can help. And so you need to look at the tasks that you need done in your business and the skill sets that you need in order to accomplish those tasks. And that's how you start building out a team.
I quite like that. I quite like that.
Now, when it comes to your systems and your data points and everything, you need to make sure that your team is on board with going ahead and using those systems. You need to make sure that you're providing thorough training on how to use the systems to your expectations and to accomplish marketing to your expectations. A couple of points when it comes to hiring, someone for your marketing is if your marketing team is not helping you, if you are having to spend more time managing them, if you're having to spend more time going back after them and fixing things, then that is a people problem, and that means you've hired the wrong people. And so sometimes this means you may need to spend a little bit more money on hiring a more qualified person, Or maybe you just need to make sure that you're hiring the right person and offering the right value exchange for working for your company and getting a person at a budget that you can actually afford. You can hire very quality virtual assistants at any level. You just have to make sure that there's a value exchange. And obviously, the less you pay, you need to make sure that you're implementing more training and making sure that you're willing to invest in that person and actually help them become the person that you need. So if you're investing in someone, you're spending time with them, that is one thing. But if someone is supposed to be an expert and they come in and you end up having to train them anyways, or you end up having to spend more time fixing things that they're messing up, then that person needs to go.
Get them out of here!
And so those are going to be the three things and three areas I would look at, and in the order I would look at them. The first thing is, what is the strategy? Doing an audit of what is working, what's not working in the business, figuring out what that strategy is. And then we're going to take a look and we're going to implement systems. So are we basing our marketing efforts off of a website? Is it going to be a YouTube channel? Is it going to be Google ads? Is it going to be on Instagram? What is your marketing strategy and what platforms and mediums is this going to be based off of, and what systems do you need to implement in order to not only fulfill on a content basis, but also to track and to measure all of the different aspects of this marketing. You know, how quickly are you getting marketing content out? What volume are you getting marketing content out? How are people responding to it on your platforms? Are you getting traffic? Are you getting leads? All of these things need to be tracked and measured so that way you can make informed decisions. And I'll tell you one thing on that note. When you are informed, if you decide to eventually work with an agency and learn from them, or if you're hiring a team and you're relying on them to help you implement this marketing strategy, it is so simple when you can say, hey, let's look at the data and let's talk about what the data means and not just your opinions and your hopes for what might happen in the future. This makes the conversation very simple, and it helps you understand if someone actually knows what they're talking about or if they're just coming up with something out of thin air and they really have no idea what they're doing. And then the last thing, guys, is you want to make sure that you're hiring an effective team who's going to be able to implement the systems that you've used and to implement the strategy that you've put together, so that way you can actually have, you know, an effective marketing strategy that's going to help you grow your business. A couple final points for you guys that I want to go over just to give you some specifics on some of these things. And so the first one is going to be, when you're looking at your marketing data, the three things that you really want to focus on, especially as a small business owner just getting started out. You probably don't have a large budget. You probably don't have an immense amount of resources to invest into your marketing team, your marketing strategy. So you really want to make sure that you nail down your message, your avatar of who your audience is, and then your product flow. You really want to spend a lot of time reworking these three different aspects to really find the golden combination. Many businesses that were successful years after they originally got started was because they spent the first however many years, however much time it was, really just figuring out these three things. Once they figured out those three things, then the medium, the platform, and the implementation of the systems and the strategy was quite simple. The hard part really is figuring out who your exact audience is, the message that they're going to respond to and remember you for, and then what kind of product flow do you need to actually solve their problems in a way that makes sense for them and work them through becoming a lead to an entry-level customer and then to one of your most valuable customers. And understand that not every customer is going to go through that flow completely. You want to design your highest tiered product for your ideal client, but understand that sometimes your ideal client isn't ready for you yet. They're not ideal, and so you want to give them a flow to work through, but you will attract customers and clients at all stages when you build out this system. The next thing that I would really recommend, in addition to having your Facebook or Google or ads tracking software and your Google Analytics for your website and things like that, would be to have some kind of mapping software. And so there's a lot of options out there these days, but you can actually get software that allows you to track not just each individual source, but actually create a visual map for your marketing efforts. So if you have a Facebook page, you have a LinkedIn page, whatever it is, a YouTube channel, and you're driving that to some kind of website, or you're running multiple ads in a sequence, and then you have some kind of offer page, or just sending them to your website, or a virtual video sales letter, whatever it is that your system and your strategy is, just have a visual mapping software. This visual mapping software can very quickly allow you to see which platforms are working the best, which pieces of content are working the best. It does take quite a bit of time to set up correctly and to really learn. And so, you need to be prepared for that. But this can really equip you to see how your audience is responding to different pieces of content very quickly. This can equip you to make adjustments based on the platforms and the mediums. And all of those different data points can be compiled into one mapping software that you can see very quickly. It can update in almost real time. And your team can make very fast adjustments. As a new business owner, or a business owner that's trying to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures, speed is key, and you need to use your resources wisely because they are limited. And this is one of those tools that is absolutely critical to making sure that you are spending your resources wisely and you're not dumping a bunch of money, time, and other resources into marketing efforts that just aren't working for your business. The next thing I want to point out is that as a business that's small, that's trying to grow, being nimble, being quick, being able to make decisions rapidly, being able to save resources from being spent after bad resources, and really try to make your marketing as effective as possible, as quickly as possible, is absolutely key in order to making sure that you can scale. The only way you can do this is by tracking data and analyzing the data and making fast decisions. And so you guys have to be able to have a team that's helping you implement. You need to have someone on your team who's responsible for making sure that this data is collected and that it's analyzed and presented in a way where your team can consume it, understand what's happening, and make adjustments pretty quickly. The key to a successful marketing strategy is, again, collecting this data and testing everything that you can think to test on. Now, not just test to test, but test to see what works best. And this is how you're going to find a winning combination. You guys are going to lose more than you win as far as terms of, hey, we had 8 ads fail, but we had 2 ads win. However, when those 2 ads win, now you can compound all of those winning results with all of your effort, all of your resources, all of your budget, and you will win bigger than you ever lost by far, especially if you're making micro adjustments and you are moving fast, you're being nimble, and your team is able to constantly test and only focus on the things that are working and not just dump money into, platforms, mediums, assets that aren't working. And the final thing that I'll tell you guys and give you a recommendation for is about hiring your team. If you can get to a point where you can hire 2 or 3 VAs to start off with. If you can foster a team environment among your marketing team, it's going to spur on creative ideas, creative solutions, and help you accomplish that so much quicker. It's also going to spread out the load of what you and your team is trying to accomplish and really allow people to kind of specialize in their fields. And while one person cannot run every part of your marketing strategy, you can definitely have, let's say, for example, a copywriter who also manages your ads, or maybe a copywriter who also helps you write your scripts, or maybe you have a website developer that also manages your ads, or maybe you have a videographer that also helps you create media and pictures and images for your posts. So there's definitely a lot of gray area and crossover within those skill sets when you hire the right people. But you really want to try and hire a team. If you can hire 3, and spread out the different tasks that are kind of opposite or kind of far from each other. So, for example, maybe you have a copywriter who does all of your content ideation and content creation. Maybe you have a data scientist who's helping you compile all of your data. And then maybe you have a creative person, like a videographer, who's helping you create videos, create images, things like that. That would really be a solid core team to allow you to be nimble, be very effective, and move very quickly, and allow you to modify and update your marketing strategy as you go. Hey guys, that's the end of the video. Thanks for tuning in. If you got some value out of that, make sure you go ahead and let me know by leaving a like. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, and comments down in the comments section. And of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos. We release 3 videos a week, one on sales, one on marketing, and one on VAs. And of course, if you want to check out some of our services or products, check out the links in the description, as well as you can find information on one-on-one coaching and consulting with me, where we can dive into the specific strategies and solutions that you need in order to take your business from 6 figures to 7 figures, or low 7 figures to more 7 figures.